Hello, everyone. Today's video, we are going to be talking about the PEMT gene and its relation to choline. So what is choline? Choline is an essential nutrient, and it is something that we can get from food. Your body can make it. We'll talk about this, but a large part, we can get choline from our food sources. And in today's world and the standard American diet, the majority of the US population does not get enough choline on a daily basis. And this can really impact bodily function, which we'll talk about, the ways in which choline interacts with function. And genetics play a role as well. So we have certain genes that if you have variants on, your need for dietary sources of choline increases. So we need to make sure this is being addressed, and we look at this in the genetic report. So here are some ways that choline contributes to bodily function. So we see here the image of the brain. So choline is involved in creating a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. So choline is a precursor for that acetylcholine. This is important for brain health, brain function. It also is a neurotransmitter that is necessary for muscle contraction, is important for heart health as well. And choline does play a role in the membrane of your cells. So it's very important to maintain the integrity of your cell membrane. So the cell membrane consists of a phospholipid bilayer, and phosphatidylcholine is an important part of that membrane to help keep your cells healthy. The membrane is really super important because that's where all of the communication happens between cells, allowing signaling to happen so reactions can take place within the cell. So integrity of the cell membrane is really important, and choline is a precursor for phosphatidylcholine, which is important for that. It is important to help the transport of fats and cholesterol within the body, and then it also balances levels of homocysteine in the blood. We'll talk about that too. That is the methionine cycle, that pathway, which we go over in the genetic report as well, but the PEMT gene is playing a role in recycling homocysteine, so we don't have that elevated level of homocysteine within the blood, which can cause issues, cardiac issues, and it's kind of an inflammatory marker. So we don't want elevated levels of homocysteine. And here is what the PEMT gene looks like on your genetic report. Now, the screenshot that I took here is just the most important genes here populate in this top section. If you were in your report, you will have all of the genes. So I could click on this. It's not active because this is just a screenshot, but in the genetic report from our end as the practitioners, we can click on this and then it populates all of the informational SNPs. So you'll have it kind of broken out on your full report that you're looking at for the researched, the significant genes, and then you'll also have a section for the informational genes. And the informational ones are just, we don't know a lot about them yet and how variants on those impact function. And so, all of these genes are important in both categories, but these are the ones that are the most significant. And so that's why it's kind of broken up into those two different categories. And when we're looking at the report, here we can see, this person has some variants here. This particular gene on the report, the RS7946, the T allele that you see, this person has two T alleles. They have a double variant here. So this decreases the production of choline through the PEMT gene. So you're going to have decreased amounts that your body can make. And then also this is a risk factor for non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So this is why the genetic report is so valuable is we can know our risk factors, and maybe, this isn't something that you struggle with right now, but down the road could be. So you want to take precautionary measures to make sure you don't develop non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So this person, we definitely would want to increase dietary sources of choline, and we also may supplement as well. And this is that methionine cycle that I mentioned earlier. So this is kind of the complete, well, it's not complete, but it's a portion of the methionine cycle as far as genetics. This is from Dr. Ben Lynch. Maybe some of you have heard of him. He has a lot of nice graphics. So this is from Dr. Ben Lynch. And we can see here's choline. And this is the whole methionine cycle. So methionine is going through, all of these conversions, and we end up with homocysteine. And then homocysteine is recycled one of two ways back up into the methionine to kind of complete, complete the cycle and can continue the cycle. That's continuously happening every second within the body. So we get down to homocysteine, and then we can recycle through this PHMT gene back up to methionine, or we can recycle this way. This involves B12, folate, so that we're also looking at this in your genetic report. So these are cofactors that are necessary to recycle that way. And choline plays a role in this kind of shortcut pathway. Choline is what provides the methyl group for this BHMT gene to work. So we need that choline in order for this recycling of homocysteine through this BHMT gene. So this is why when we talk about the genetics and looking at the genetic report, we don't want to solely focus on one gene, because all of these genes interact with each other. So we're taking, the bird's eye view, looking at how all of these genes interact and making recommendations based on that. Because if you just look at this gene and this gene is fine, there's no variance here, well, you're not looking at a complete picture, because you also need the choline. And so, so that kind of changes things. So looking at the whole pathway is always the best way to get the full picture and make recommendations. They all interact, and we don't want to mess in one area because there's, a downstream effect in another area. So this is where this is important, this choline in the whole methionine cycle. And when we are looking at dietary sources of choline, it's really found in animal protein. So we have here lean chicken breast, fish, pork chops, eggs. We recommend eggs a lot for people who have PEMT variants. The yolk has high amounts of choline, has vitamin A, vitamin D. So you might see on your genetic summary or your genetic action steps that we have recommended for you to eat eggs. Of course, if you have an allergy to eggs, that wouldn't be something you would want to choose another source. Beef, shrimp, some beans. So there's a lot of different foods that have choline. So you want to pay attention to that. Get those dietary sources if you have variants. And also, we have some supplements. So sometimes it is important not only to get enough through the diet, or get increased dietary forms, but sometimes we really do need to supplement. And this is the product that we use. This is 3 different forms of phosphatidylcholine. So we have phosphatidylcholine, essential for memory. It has phosphatidylethynylamine, vital to the mitochondrial function, phosphatidylinositol, so important to support the brain and neurotransmission. So these are a couple different forms, but these are the most bioavailable forms for your body. So this is the best form, top of the line product for supporting variants in the PEMT gene. And so you can take a look at that on our website. And I also wanted to mention that, if you're vegan and you're not getting a lot of dietary sources, you definitely want to supplement with some choline. If you are pregnant, choline is necessary to help in, we talked about the integrity of the cell membrane. And so when you're growing and developing a fetus, when you're pregnant, you really need to support that, because your baby is growing and these cells are rapidly dividing to create the baby. And so we want to have enough choline. So supplementing with choline is great. There are studies that show pregnant moms who supplement with choline or, get enough in their dietary source of choline, the cognitive function of their baby is improved based on those who did not take choline when they were pregnant. So it really is important for a lot of different functions. And in your genetic report, we can really take a look and see if you do need to supplement, but certainly add some choline to your diet if you are able to do that. And we will take a look and make some recommendations based on your individual genes. Hopefully this helps you understand the PEMT gene and its function. Thank you.